Welcome to Constructiveness Learning in Social Media. Today's presentation is divided into 8 discrete topics: selection process, social media connection, characterization, hypothesis, theory, data collection, data analysis, and references. Game-based learning using Gagne's event is more effective than a traditional classroom setup. Sri Lakshmi et al., 2015. This, therefore, is how we shall proceed. In a functional classroom, there is no teaching. Everyone is learning. Wood, 2017, private conversation. My search terms were social media and constructiveness learning. There is one paper in the library, but it's nothing. I tried to use Procrest this morning, and it came back with nothing. The same search in Google. Social media and constructiveness learning, dissertation or thesis, brought a few useful returns. One article was published 2 years ago, thereby satisfying the requirement that is less than 5 years old. It is also a qualitative study which looks like the style of research best designed to assess constructiveness interactions in social media. Self-regulated learning, SRL, is key in this study. The next section is a digression that may appear unrelated to the topic under consideration, but it stands as an example of the type of information under consideration as support for my research project. Talking about what I'm seeing in light of where I need to be going keeps me focused and on track. Because my field is educational leadership in social media, there will always be a tie-in between the academic literature and the interactions I have online. The goal is to marry the experience with the research well enough to draw a few educated hypotheses. I'm trying to correlate the two. When art becomes part of the exchange, it is included as part of the story. Last semester, Dr. Grant summarized what I do successfully. You are able to use information from various platforms to be a collective voice. School is one. Bear with me. In this process, things can get a little windy. Ultimately, this appears to be the development of a case study. This graphic represents the Libyan Center for Community Dialogue and Studies. It began as a journey of politics being used to build bridges between countries. It derailed for lack of funding and a manager who would not proceed without money. Here's where the discussion has us today. Erica opens the conversation. Today there are demons. They write under the title of militias. Everyone is afraid of them. Here's the need. No one wants to be them. I spoke with men in the militias of Misrata, Tripoli, and Zintan. They all have one thing in common. They want to get out. Security, chaos, and militia rule are a favorable environment for the growth of all types of organisms, said Goodlibby. Organisms, your choice of words makes me smile, grins America. We love to draw smiles, reassures Goodlibby. The direction of the discussion reminded me of lyrics from another age, so I added them to the conversation. My life is for people, that's the way me want it. It was amazing to see the stadium of 30,000. People who were opposed to each other politically were sitting beside each other. Marley, 1978. And then Goodlibby liked another thing, an excerpt from a credibility lesson plan. Write the words trustworthy and reliable on the board. As a group, think about what these words mean, how they are related, and what type of things might exhibit those characteristics. Group these elements into a concept map, Al-Houthi, 2024. The goal is to bridge online vernacular with the academic community. If I designed it right, the topic titles in this slide tell the story while standing independently. They represent objectives. Leaving militias, organisms, smile, characteristic concept map, building bridges. This is a journey of peace and progress through education. In the consideration of characterization, attention is given to Mahana's 2022 research. The graphics in this section are the focus because they illustrate the concepts in our characterization map, e.g. learning objectives. They include empirical control, operationalization, replication, and evidence. This presentation is narrated in order to bring interaction to the lesson and help engage the online audience. Empirical indicates that science is dependent on evidence gathered through scientific methods like experiments and methodical observation. Christensen et al., 2020, page 8. Mohana 2022 used a phenomenological approach, gain understanding from the experiences of the participants. Golding is cited in Mohana 2022, notably concentration on the participants' experiences carrying out professional development in a social media setting. This parallels my observations in social media. What Mohana 2022 has that I need are specific questions. Mohana 2022 were in regard to professional learning, SRL, and social media, and challenges faced by instructional designers. Control is the ability to maintain a constant or remove the impact of unrelated variables in order to clearly state cause and effect. Christensen et al. 2020. Where is the control group in my case study, especially with an anonymous group that is not going to participate in a survey? Islam does not believe in these things because it undermines the will of God. Plus, they have real big trust issues with my country. I'm lucky, quite frankly, that they talk to me. Despite the critical requirement for instructional designers to always seek out timely information, investigation inside the targeted context of instructional designers is unfortunately still rare. Mohana 2022, page 36. Is there a control group in case studies? The word is not mentioned in Mohana's 2022 dissertation. Yin 2018 explains how control may be conducted in a field setting, where the phrase field or social experiment has evolved to encompass studies in which researchers treat entire populations in various ways. Christensen et al. 2020. There is a possibility I can do this online. I already have 2 X accounts that are being populated and managed in separate languages. There exists in both a small group of the same people. Beyond that, the stream of information mostly varies to reflect the community. For example, today, one of my common members, they represent as Libyans, posted a video in both accounts. I asked him what the man was saying. I asked in English in the USA style account before I asked in Arabic in the Libyan style account. I got one answer. It was in Arabic. He reads English but didn't answer in that language. Why? Finding a particular instrument or collection of instruments to precisely measure a constructive interest is known as operationalizing the construct. Christensen et al. 2020. Mohana 2022 used a survey and interviews that were reviewed by a colleague who carefully considered the relevance and clarity of the research purpose. Phenomenology is a term used in educational interpretation of research design that emphasizes experiences and allows participants to interpret them. Christensen et al. Is cited in Balki et al. 2022. Mohana's 2022 operationalizations could allow insight into Libyans' constructs of capacity and willingness to use social media as a community development tool. Replication is knowing if the study's findings will remain the same if it is repeated is necessary to draw broad conclusions. Christensen et al. 2020, page 10. Because Mohana 2022 is using a survey on a well-defined group of people, this study can be replicated. I, however, am allowing the situation to develop as we go, so this is not currently a replicable design. The idea is for these dynamics to be used to discover the conditions that could be replicated. Although it's a different discipline, the following description sheds light on the concept of replication. Same situation moving in the same conditions. Scientists at Tsinghua University in Beijing have produced a mirror image version of a protein that carries out DNA replication and transcription into RNA, 2 of life's most essential functions. Peplow, 2016. Scientific theories offer compelling evidence in support of certain beliefs, but they are not proof. Indeed, there is no such thing as scientific proof of anything. Siegel, 2017. While science cannot offer complete or definitive proof of psychological concepts, it can offer evidence ranging from extremely weak to extremely strong. Christensen et al. 2020. Evidence supports hypothesis transitions to theories. The beginning stages is when the problem is being identified and the hypothesis is being formed. Christensen et al. 2020, page 3. In science, a hypothesis is an idea or explanation that you then test through study and experimentation. Mohana 2022 calls for an in-depth exploration of intersecting social media, SRL, and continuous professional learning among instructional designers in order to address various challenges. In my group, testing for social media-based community development is faced with the mediating variable of the United Nations. I just learned that Libya under guardianship under Resolution 1973, Good Libby 2024 private conversation, it does not even have control over the media. The United Nations has also authorized the United States to freeze revenues. There are sanctions and political maneuvering, Politicians in a struggling economy are being asked to support a democratic process that could cost their jobs in light of the elections that could replace them. Libya calls it a state of manufactured creative chaos. Maybe the constructs are capacity within and willingness to engage in the social media process for community development. Our Libyan stakeholder further elucidates current considerations. Continuous learning is a continuous process of acquiring knowledge and developing skills throughout life, based on the desire to continue learning and improve performance. Proactive planning is the process of making advanced plans to deal with future events by preparing for expected challenges according to real knowledge of reality without illusions or ideals that are not compatible with the reality of the situation. The requirements of proactive planning depend on analyzing trends and possible variables and estimating how they affect the goals. Strategic planning simply means developing a comprehensive plan to achieve specific goals in the long term. Its basis is an analysis of the internal and external environment and a sound selection of the necessary measures to achieve the goals. Building hypothesis means that the individual bears responsibility for directing his own learning process, meaning that the individual is the one who determines his own needs and determines his goals, the methods of achieving them according to an integrated system that is acceptable to society. Hypotheses are what we call jurisprudentially the science of probabilities. It consists of perceptions and assumptions related to possible outcomes. It is considered an important science in devising methodological strategies in various fields. Its importance is in directing research and analysis, designing research, developing strategies around the expected relationships between variables to reach the desired results, e.g., interpretation and understanding about the topic studied. The use of hypothesis helps a lot in the process of making decisions and determining options that are compatible with what is available and what is hoped for. The use of hypothesis, or what we call the jurisprudence of outcomes, helps in making the process more systematic and organized, reducing the margin of absurdity in making decisions and reducing the potential risks imposed by the chaotic process, whether it was creative chaos or ruminative chaos. A theory aids in the explanation of how and why a phenomenon behaves in a certain way. A theory needs to be able to both direct research and explain the findings of earlier studies. Christensen et al. 2020. Mohana 2022 notes that instructional designers appear to be using SRL approaches and using social media for professional learning. Their readiness to change and adapt their current design techniques and strategies demonstrates a metacognitive thought process that may encourage an open-mindedness to take into account areas where knowledge and skills are lacking, as well as look for and put into practice self-improvement strategies. The instructional designer's experiences also indicated that utilizing social media to develop SRL skills. Again, the instructional designer's experiences also indicated that utilizing social media develops SRL skills. By using SRL techniques, instructional designers appeared to be able to overcome some of the difficulties. Please be patient with me. This section turned into a short lecture. I believe I'm transitioning toward a research project. I must learn more about interviews as described in Christensen et al. 2020, page 35. In the meantime, consider Moljana 2022, who used a survey and interviews with a colleague who paid close attention to the clarity and relevance to the research purpose. This non-experimental research lacks manipulation and studies the world as it naturally occurs. Christensen et al. 2020, page 19. My work is qualitative. It considers non-numerical data such as conversational statements and online behaviors identified through text interpretation using emotion detection and sentiment analysis. Knowledge of psycholinguistics plays a significant role in decoding the language of the digital age. It is understood that negative moods can easily be transferred among the population using social media networks. Chukwuri and Chukwuri, as cited by Chen Zhao, 2022. This mood transference competes with the independent variable in explaining the outcome. Christensen et al., 2020, page 20. Mood transference is a mediating variable that could interfere with the measurement of a person's feelings and personality, undermining the reliability of the research, unless there is some way to create a control for it. Our Libyan stakeholder provides a succinct summation of this new direction. Psycholinguistics depends on listening and observation, behavioral experiments, neural analysis, and computational modeling. In short, this science combines linguistics and psychology to understand the linguistic process and its psychological impact on individuals and groups. It is a science that helps in understanding how language is used in societal interactions and influencing them. One of the advantages of this science is that it helps increase tolerance and understanding between individuals, which reflects well on society. Also, this science is very important in understanding indirect and hidden messages, especially with regard to what is published through social media. It enhances awareness of the linguistic and social elements and responding to them correctly and healthily, thus being able to develop a confrontation strategy to deal more accurately. 2024 Private Conversation. Studies of social media have been receiving increasing academic attention in linguistics, especially after year 2017. Sun et al. 2021, page 3. Before I wander too far down this narrow path, I must return to Muljana's 2022 data collection process. She used Zoom interviews in a natural conversation style and funneling approach when formulating the interview questions. Audio was automatically transcribed, then shared with participants in order to confirm accuracy. This member checking is a triangulation technique. Furthermore, in my potential proposal, sentiment analysis is a field whose main goal is to analyze human language by extracting opinions, ideas, and thoughts by assigning polarities that are either positive, negative, or neutral. It has a subfield called emotion detection, ED, which aims to extract more specific emotions from human languages, like happy, sad, angry, and so forth. Kempong et al., 2020, page 1. They are able to identify personalities in addition to emotions by utilizing ED and sentiment analysis. A computer application called receptivity is used to identify personalities in text. That's Garcia et al., 2017. Data analysis. Now, Mohana 2022 has a thematic analysis with 6 phases. 1, familiarizing with data. 2, generating initial codes. 3, 4, and 5, searching for, reviewing, and defining themes. And 6, producing the report. This study used in Braun and Clark's 2006 thematic analysis, TA, technique, and a significant finding regarding the data that relates to the study topic represents a degree of pattern or significance in the data set. Mohana 2022. The goal is to analyze the data as a whole. During the 6 phases of TA, Mohana 2022 complied with a 15-point checklist of requirements for performing a quality theme analysis. Phase 1, familiarizing with data. Because this was phenomenological research, Mohana 2022 made efforts to bracket or limit her own biases and viewpoints to enable a thorough understanding of the substance of the participants' lived experiences. This was done by becoming familiar with the data, reviewing the notes taken during the interview, transcribing the notes, and summarizing, validating, modifying interview notes. Phase 2, generating initial codes. In order to grasp the depth of quality, Boyatis, as cited in Muljana 2022, and represent the bulk of the data, Joff is cited in Muljana 2022, page 56. Muljana 2022 used theory-driven or deductive and data-driven or inductive coding techniques. For research questions RQ1, deductive coding was based on Zimmerman as cited in Muljana 2022, 3 phases of SRL, forethought, performance, and self-reflection activities. For RQ2, deductive coding was based on Daba and Kitsantas as cited in Muljana 2022 framework describing the 3 levels of using social media to support SRL: personal information management, social interaction, collaboration, and information aggregation and management. RQ3 applied data-driven inductive coding using participants' verbatim words or phrases as codes. Muljana 2022, page 58. Data analysis software Deduce was used to link participants' quotes to codes, and Microsoft Excel was used to analyze codes. Phase 3, 4, and 5, searching for, reviewing, and defining themes. Muljana 2022 pattern clustered and colored codes for similarities. Thematic maps were created in order to search for a consistent pattern in these extracted data in relation to the coded extracts and the entire data set. Themes were named and sub-themes were identified. For Phase 6, producing the report, Miljana 2022 finalized the analysis and associated the results with the literature. This page is for your consideration. Can I study you? I asked Alibi. This interpretive natural setting approach includes multimodal methods of information for analysis. I hear history, introspection, experience, and current events. This triangulation provides better understanding. Your interpretation of things is singularly unique. I'm going to snapshot that last observation and post it in the Libyan editorial. That might be a mediating variable because I intend to encourage you to speak. We know each other. And he says, Ashkar Tashjika Sayadati. It says Ashkar Tashjiak Sayadati. Thank you for your encouragement, ma'am. Science, almost anything is possible, including AI art. Now comes the challenge. Explain it.